Welcome, everybody, to a new edition of The Rundown presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. And on this edition, that the Rapids stumble against Austin FC. They now welcome Orlando here at altitude, and we'll go off the pitch with Ted Ku-DiPietro. That and more on the Colorado Rapids podcast. Welcome, everybody, to another edition of the Colorado Rapids podcast presented by Dick's Sporting Goods. I'm your host, Mike Ravolo, alongside my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. Mi querido viejo, how are you, brother? Always good to see you.
You as well, hermano. Yeah, excited to be here. I feel like it's a loaded episode. It does. We talked about it last week. It's getting to that time of year and summer where there's a lot going on, you know. And so I feel like my preparation for today was more in depth than maybe a normal episode.
I was thinking this. I was getting the same vibe too. Like it's the typical normal show that we have, but it's just like so much to talk about, or it feels like there's so much to talk about. Like you said, summer's popping, man. And when summer kicks around, it's always popping, especially on the soccer side of things. Like it's always a lot of fun as a fan, as a viewer, just to be able to take in all the soccer that we've got between MLS, obviously, right? We got Club World Cup, Leagues Cup for the Rapids coming up later on in July. So it is going to be a very fun, a very busy, a very exhausting summer for a lot of folks, but I think fun is
for all good reasons, though.
All for good reasons. I think fun is the more prevailing emotion and sentiment in all of it, because it's just, I'm not going to say no to more football. Like I love, especially in MLS, you know, especially with the Rapids.
Everybody likes having fun.
Who doesn't? Yeah. Who doesn't? So one thing I wanted to kick off here in terms of like a couple news and notes and with a little bit of housekeeping to take care of, Drew. Midfielder Wayne Frederick, he was called up to the Trinidad and Tobago national team for the Gold Cup this summer, coming up starting literally this Saturday when Mexico kicks things off. But Trinidad and Tobago, they will kick off their Gold Cup campaign against the United States. That's going to be on Sunday, June 15th. So congratulations to Wayne. I mean, it's a huge deal when you get to represent your country doing so on the pitch. So hopefully we'll get to see Wayne represent Trinidad and Tobago in an official capacity in Gold Cup. So we'll definitely get fully behind Wayne when that does happen. Got to be kind of split though between like trying to support the U.S. but then also trying to support Wayne with Trinidad and Tobago in that match. But still, nonetheless, super happy for Wayne to be able to earn that opportunity because that's huge. That's big time. Especially with, as he was on the podcast, we had him on Off the Pitch earlier this season, and he talked about his aspirations for trying to be a part of that group that hopefully will be in the World Cup next year here stateside and Canada and Mexico. This is a big step for him to try to accomplish that goal. So we have our fingers crossed and like our full support behind Wayne to hopefully accomplish that dream in a year's time.
For sure.
Crazy to think about. So
he continues to develop really nicely, you know, and this is another opportunity in a massive tournament for that development to continue. So super happy to see him called in. He deserves it. And like you said, you want him to do well. Maybe, you know, that first game we're both going to be torn, but I want to see Wayne go and represent his country well. And I know he's proud to be there, and I'm proud that he's there, and really excited for him.
Yeah, super excited for him. And like I said, the World Cup is next year, in almost a year's time. Yeah. We've got a World Cup here stateside, man, which is really exciting to think about and crazy to think about, man. Like I remember, was it 2018, I think, when officially that the U.S., Canada, Mexico got the bid, officially saying that the World Cup is coming here in 2026. Fast forward 7 years later, and yeah, wow, we're just about there, man. Time flies. One little note in terms of housekeeping here that I want to touch base on was, so we got to have season ticket members out on this past Friday on Match Day -1 before the Austin FC match, which we're going to get into on Saturday. Which was dude, I enjoyed the vibe of having the fans out for them to get to see these players that they are either watching on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV, or if they come to the stadium and watch. But like it provided a nice vibe, and I enjoyed it. It was really nice to have season ticket members out to, you know, for this open training session that was available to them on Friday morning. But one thing I got a little kick out of was you didn't realize I was doing this.
Who's this guy?
Look at Drew taking part in small-sided here training. Oh wait. Okay, Connor had the ball, but didn't. Drew recovers well. Drew, dude, like I'm not kidding when I say like, are you sure you're done playing, man? Like I feel like you can still get after it.
Okay, you guys are catching me off guard here, but
and here, let's see, you're defending Cal. Cal got past you, but that's fine. It's okay. It's fine. But then here, you stopped Cal that time in this instance. So for those of you on YouTube, you can watch. If you're only listening, you're missing out on what is an impeccable highlight reel of Drew in training. trying to relive the glory days of him being on the pitch. No, to be fair, like Drew, you still get after. What is it? This is now your third season. That since you retired at the end of 2022.
Yeah.
So I wonder who was filming that on the day. I don't know.
Yeah, listen,
that'll be a mystery.
They let me jump in every once in a while when they need numbers. And for 10 minutes a week, I can still get by, you know. But ask me to do it for 5 more minutes, and I probably wouldn't be here this morning, sitting here, you know. So that's fun though. Thanks guys. I saw a little clip of that earlier when we were preparing or whatever, and I was like, "What is something about to happen here?" So that caught me off guard a little bit.
Well, there you go. So it's there to live on YouTube forever. So people can go back on YouTube. If you're not watching, like I said, if you're just listening, like I said, you missed out on a nice little highlight reel there of Drew taking part in that open training that was available to season ticket members this past Friday. Like I said, a really fun vibe having fans out there as a part of training to get to see the players, see the coaches. Cole and Georgie speaking to everybody. You were emceeing a little bit between emceeing and being in training, so you're a man of jack of all trades, Jervy. But nonetheless, that was fun, man. And so that's one of the little perks of being a season ticket member here at the Rapids is being a part of things like that. Yeah. And it's a lot. Again, it was a lot of fun with just the ambiance of having the fans out there to tune into training on Matchday -1. For sure. So. Like I mentioned, that was previous to the Austin FC match, which I think we'll get into right now, Drew. Right?
Just some real highlights.
So, of course, on Saturday, the Colorado Rapids, for the second time this season, facing off against Austin FC, this time here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Drew, we're going to kick things off with the highlights here with, unfortunately, an Austin FC goal.
Tough early start. Yeah, it's a scrappy goal from Austin, but we knew Bukhari's pace and directness, and Austin won't worry about the scrappiness of the goal. It's an early goal on the road and just put us in a hole right away.
Now, Austin, they were seeing a good, they felt good to start off the match, but then in the last 15 minutes of the first half, Rapids were really feeling themselves, Drew.
Yeah, Rapids closed out the first half extremely well, and there was a flurry of opportunities here started by Rafa Navajo being a ball thief, and it was nice to see Rafa back in the starting 11. But this was, this is a continuation from the last highlight. Just we kept them pinned in really for the last 5-10 minutes of the first half. Off of Navarro, he's kind of going backwards on that header, tough to get it in.
And this was part of the flurry of chances the Rapids had. So this is Josh Atencio late in the first half. Drew, it gets cleared away.
Yeah, they just kept waiting for the dam to break here, and this bit of pressure. But what a strike that was from Atencio!
What a save this was from Nico, Drew.
And he made 2 or 3 fantastic saves on the night. Did Nico Hansen, this being one of them, and keeping the Rapids in the match really until the end because of saves like this.
And to close things out, Drew, this is Austin FC off a corner, own goal from Rafa Navajo.
Set pieces, man, we talk about them all the time. They make all the difference, and this was a crucial moment of the match to go down 2-0, and just didn't defend it well. It's a little unlucky from Rafa. He's not in a bad spot, just needs to attack it a little bit more, but again, set pieces are they always make the difference, and is unfortunate to concede and to go down in a 2-0 hole at that point of the match.
Austin FC walks away with all 3 points from Dick's Sporting Goods Park against the Colorado Rapids with the 2-0 win. Match stats, Drew. So the Rapids had 19 shots versus Austin's 11. Shots on goal, the Rapids had 5 versus Austin's 6. Corners, the Rapids had 11 versus Austin's 3. As we saw, one of those that they earned the own goal to get the 2-0 win. Possession, the Rapids had more possession than Austin FC, which is kind of interesting. 51.1% versus 48.9% for Austin, as surprising in the sense that the Rapids don't mind conceding some of the possession, whereas Austin is a more possession-oriented team. So that's why the note of why I was a bit surprised with the possession stats there. Straight into it, Drew, in terms of what you made of that match between the Colorado Rapids and Austin FC on the night.
It is obviously not a great performance from the Rapids, and I think everybody probably left the stadium very disappointed, thinking 100 different things, right? Like what went wrong, what we could have done better, and I don't want to overthink it too much. We didn't start well. We lackluster early. It wasn't just that we conceded early, but just didn't put the energy into the first 10-15 minutes of the match that I would have liked to have seen, against an Austin team that struggled to score goals. They get an early goal here. That was a bit deflating, and I think we did a lot of good things. We created some good opportunities the last 20-25 minutes of the first half, and I think Ted Ku-DiPietro sparked that with his energy and his dribbling ability and really unsettled and unbalanced Austin FC's back line at times. but we lacked a bit of a killer instinct then. It's a little bit quality in the final third, but just somebody shouldering the load to put the ball in the back of the net because we did get into some good spots, and I think the second goal really affected us to go down 2-0. Subs didn't quite do enough when they came on to affect the game. But I think the biggest thing for me was just the mentality going into the game, which is interesting because it was a really good week of training. There were some positional battles that were won throughout the week in training, which is makes for a lively and spirited, bit of preparation. But I just don't think we started with enough energy, with a strong enough mentality to get Austin on their heels early, and we just weren't able to recover from it.
Rapids did have their chances, Drew.
Yeah.
3.7 in terms of expected goals on the night. So that, for me, despite not scoring, but having that high of a rate of expected goals shows that they were putting themselves in very dangerous positions. Mm-hmm. But like you said, they just lack that killer instinct. And it's not just on one guy or this guy or the other. I think that the responsibility falls on everybody for when that moment arrives, take advantage of it. Having said that, I think Austin FC was good on the night defensively, where their box defending was very good. And even if the Rapids were able to get past their defenders and work their way through that box defending from Austin FC, Brad Stuver just kind of stepped up and did what he's paid to do, right? And he's a known quantity in this league now, literally ever since he joined Austin FC in 2021. One of the best shot stoppers, I'd say, in the league, right? So I think it was a multitude of things just kind of coming together there between the Rapids not having that killer instinct that we know they have, but Austin FC also being good on the night and then taking advantage of the opportunities that they had or creating enough danger to eventually get the 2-0 win against the Rapids and walk away with 3 points from a difficult place to play. So that's credit to Austin for doing what they had to do. A couple things, Drew, in terms of players, right? So Hoffa came back from injury. That's something he'd be dealing with. He made a substitute appearance against Portland the week before, but this was his first start since coming back from injury. So it was nice to see Hoffa back in the fold. And then Nico Hansen, man, like we saw in the highlights, that's just one moment. But Nico, for me, up to this point, Drew, he has been putting together one performance after the other, after the other, after the other. And yes, we're unfortunately missing Zach Steffen, who has kind of been the mainstay for the Rapids ever since he's joined the club last season. But when Nico's been called upon, man, he stepped up. He stepped up big time, if anything.
He sure has. He's doing his part. He made a couple fantastic saves that weren't in the highlights there as well against Vasquez. Kind of breakaway type plays to like I said, keep the Rapids in this match. He's confident coming out for crosses. He's holding things. He's not giving up big rebounds and everything. His distribution has been very solid as well. Nico Hansen continues to do his part, and it needs to continue to be mentioned because he was a little bit of an unknown commodity to Major League Soccer, and Sharpie brought him in, and he's done really, really well.
Yeah, man. I mean, just for the viewers and listeners, just so they have the context around Nico's story, like so last season he was playing with Houston Dynamo 2, and then like this season joins the Rapids goalkeeper union under Chris Sharp. And signed to a Rapids 2 contract, right? The expectation that he gets his minutes and his reps with Rapids 2, things kind of play out in a certain way that he ends up being on the first team. Opportunity presents itself as things kind of move forward with Zach being hurt, Adam being hurt, and Nico just taking advantage of his opportunities, man, and having these performances. That's again, that save that we showed you in the highlights, the Brandon Vasquez free kick. That's just one of multiple moments that Nico has had in terms of keeping the team in the game with critical moments like that, critical saves, and everybody else has nothing but good things to say about Nico and the way that he stepped up. So that's a huge credit to him. Chris Armas had said it in a post-game presser. It's a wonderful story to see how Nico has kind of progressed and taken advantage of his opportunity. So it's really, really great to see Nico individually be able to have this opportunity, earned this opportunity, taking advantage of it. And then, of course, him stepping up just in the grand scheme of things for the club, for his team, for his teammates, to put in the performances that he's putting in right now. He had 5 saves on the night. And, of course, in the place of Zach Steffen, who, as we mentioned before, that he's been hurt. He left the U.S. men's national team camp with the hopes of being a part of the Gold Cup roster. In terms of his injury, we don't know. That is something we're still kind of waiting to see what the extent of the injury is, what needs to happen. We just don't have all the facts in place, so we'll just leave it at that in terms of Zach is hurt. We're waiting to see what the prognosis is and moving forward from there in terms of a timetable when he returns. But anything past that is speculation. So all the best for Zach in that sense in terms of hopefully it'll be a quick recovery, speedy recovery, so that we can see him back on the pitch whenever that opportunity does present itself. But just his health more than anything, primarily. So I think that does it, Drew, unless you had anything else really you wanted to take away from that recap, between the Rapids and Austin FC.
No, but I do think that, we'll transition into the match coming up here in a bit against Orlando. And I think, that mentality piece, that, the way you start the match is, I'm big, me, I'm big on how you start the match, the first 5 or 10 minutes. It's the foundation of which you build your match off of. And if the foundation is poor, that, the building isn't gonna stand for too long, And so I do think that we will touch on that again here coming up for the preview of the match, and it cannot go unnoticed how you start a match, And I think the Rapids were. They were poor to start the match against Austin, and against a team that was struggling to score goals and probably asking a lot of questions about itself. If you were able to reverse that and start that match a little bit better, it's a different result, But let's not overthink it too much. Mm-hmm. Let's not overcomplicate it. Fix what you. These are all things that can be fixed. These are all things that you can do better at, literally in the very next match, and I expect the Rapids to do that.
Yeah, the next match being part of a home stretch where I need to correct myself from the last show where I said it was a 4-game home stretch. Yeah. That is my mistake on my part, so my apologies to the viewers and listeners on that. It is a 3-game home stretch. Mm-hmm. The first of which we've already fulfilled with Austin FC this past Saturday. The next couple that'll be against Orlando this upcoming Saturday, and then the LA Galaxy midweek on the 25th, if I'm remembering correctly, June 25th. So that was my mistake. Not a 4-game home stretch. It is a 3-game home stretch, 1 game at this point.
How dare you make mistakes?
I know, dude. I got to be up to par. I was not ready. I was not prepared. So that's on me. So 3-game home stretch. Like I said, 1 game that has been fulfilled already of that home stretch against Austin FC, with the next one being Orlando City this upcoming Saturday here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. But before we talk about that match between the Rapids and Orlando and give you guys a preview of that match, All-Star voting.
Yeah.
We were talking about summer. That means All-Star voting is, it's going to close quick, dude, because voting ends Wednesday, June 11th. So by the time you guys are listening to this, if you're driving home, doing whatever at the end of the workday today on Monday, you don't have a whole lot of time to vote.
No.
It's easy to do, however, because we're going to provide the link in the description of the show on YouTube or wherever you listen to your podcasts, so that you just go, click, vote for all Rapids players, and
every
do that.
single one.
Every single one.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah.
That's all there is to it.
Wait till you get home, though. Don't do it while you're driving home.
Don't text or vote. Don't vote and drive in this case.
But there's some Rapids players that deserve to be there. Georgi Mihailovic first and foremost.
Agreed.
And like I said it on Saturday before the match. If he's not in the All-Star game, I'm gonna start a fight with somebody. I just feel like his quality is, he scores goals, he gets assists. He's one of the he's just such an exciting player to watch. He plays a position where there's a lot of really, really good players in this league that play the same position as Georgi Mihailovic. But I rank him right up there with tops in this league.
With any of them, man. Mm-hmm. Like because for me, George is just one of those players, man. Like he's incredibly special. 7 goals, 3 assists on the season right now to kind of speak to that as well. Mm-hmm. And even if you just watch him, just take the time to just watch him play. Like you notice that he sees the field a little differently than everybody else. Man. That's not just Rapids players. That's literally that's anybody that's on the pitch between the Rapids players and the opposing team. He's just one of those players, man. So Georgie's a truly special player, and between him and the rest of the Rapids players that we'd like to see be sent to the All-Star game, like I said, we had Keegan Rosenberry and our good friend Moise Bombito go last season. It would be nice to send some Rapids players to the All-Star game. That's going to be in Austin this year. So make sure you have no excuse to not vote for a Rapids player. Link in the description on YouTube or anywhere you listen to your podcast, so that you can go hit the link, vote all Rapids players, and send them off to Austin for the All-Star game this year.
That's right.
So
simple as that.
Yeah, easy enough. All right, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Off the Pitch. This time we are joined by our good friend Ted Ku-DiPietro. Ted, welcome to the podcast, man. So happy to have you this time around.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome, Ted. Let's get into it, man, in terms of how you've settled here in Colorado so far. So obviously, for those, just as a refresher, that you made your way over from DC United earlier in the 2025 season. How have you settled in so far here at Colorado and with the Colorado Rapids so far up to this point?
Great. It's really chill out here, especially compared to back home, slower pace. I love it here. I don't really have to do anything, super chill. And that's Colorado wise, but with the Rapids, it's been great. Pretty smooth transition. The trade was a little crazy, especially since I just had to switch hotels like 2 miles down the road in the middle of preseason. But uh, no, it's been great. The guys are awesome. They were awesome from the start, and I made it really, really easy.
Ted, you talked about when you changed teams, and I was telling the production crew here and talking to Mike about when I actually first met you. It was like the day after we had acquired you, and you were on the sidelines of a match between your new team and DC United, your old team, literally like the next day. So that had to have been like kind of weird. And your boys were on that side, but you were now with the Rapids. So whatever, that's kind of an aside, but an interesting story nonetheless. But let's talk about since you are still relatively new here with the Rapids, and you started off the season, recovering from an injury. Your style of play, right? I really like watching you. I think the fans like watching you. You're a bit old school to me in terms of you like to dribble, man. You like to unbalance defenses with your 1v1 dribbling ability and like kind of just describe your style of play. Like, what can people expect from you? Do you emulate your style after anybody in world soccer?
Uh, I mean, I maybe try to emulate, but no, I mean, I just try to look at players that take people on because it opens the game up so much, and it makes my teammates' lives easier because if I beat a guy, then it opens up them and they can potentially score or do whatever they want with the ball. But I mean, my style of play, I'll just take players on, try to create, try to be dangerous because I don't want to be a boring player. Like that's the last thing I want to be in. I want to have fun on the field and create.
Yeah, for sure. I noticed that there was a moment also on Saturday night where you got the crowd going a little bit, which I love to see. A little bit emotions on your sleeve, which was really cool. Do you have any personal goals or aspirations, whether it be this season or just for your career?
I mean, I've talked to the coaching staff about this too, but honestly, I don't like to set big goals or anything. Kind of just be the best person, player I can be, get 1% better every day. It's just easier to look at for me.
I like that kind of like start small and the big will take care of itself. Then
Yeah.
that's a good mentality. That's a good mindset.
It is, and in terms of guys who have been there, done that, in terms of kind of with some accomplished kind of big things, right? I'm referencing here with Christian Benteke, an old teammate of yours at DC United, and it seemed that you guys had a really good relationship, a really good connection. What was that relationship like, or what has it been like up to this day with Benteke, and do you guys still keep tabs with each other?
Uh, we kind of keep tabs with each other, especially when we went back to DC. But nah, he's an unbelievable guy. Like, I remember he walked in for the first time and he was just touring the facility, and he said, "Hi, my name's Christian," and he said that to everybody. I was like, "Come on, like we know who you are," and just him doing that, we were all talking like the young guys back at DC, and we were like, "That's never happened." Like, you have guys come in and like they never really do that if they're a big name. So, to see that is great, and he's so humble and he's such a good guy. I mean, honestly, I should text him to be honest. I know he's injured right now, but it was a great relationship, and uh, you know, he's getting older, so maybe I won't play with him again. But great guy, great teammate.
What was it like going back to DC to play? Because we've talked to a couple players before going to play against your former team, especially so soon after you joined your new team. And I told the story. Obviously, you didn't play in that preseason match against DC United, but I was traded here to Colorado from FC Dallas, and within a month we were back in Dallas playing against them. Was it cool to see family? Was it a little bit weird because you're on the other side now? What was that experience like?
Of course, it was good to see family, but nah, it felt like a fever dream, honestly.
Yeah.
I even tell my friends back home, like, it still doesn't feel real. Like,
Hmm.
honestly, it feels like I'm on loan because when I talk to them, they still keep me in the loop of things, and I'm like, oh, like I know like everything that's going on, but I'm not. Like it's such a weird feeling, but No, I love it. It's just really, really odd, and especially being back at Audi, uh, like I said, it just felt like a fever dream, like it wasn't real.
Yeah, it's an interesting perspective. I feel like a lot of fans maybe can't quite encapsulate it. And FC Dallas, there was my kind of homegrown team. There was no such thing as homegrown, but that was the place I grew up, the team I supported growing up, and so it can be a bit weird. But speaking of your family, you have a big family. You're one of 9. So I mean, how hectic was it growing up? Like what's the split there? Brothers and sisters.
Well, there's 2 boys and 7 girls.
Wow,
So
you have 7 sisters.
yeah.
That's
So
I have 2, and I feel like it's too too many.
no, they're all great. I mean, my family's really chill. I mean, it can get hectic, of course, but no, like I mean, I would kind of be the problem, to be honest, when we were growing up. Like I would kind of torment um everybody, and yeah, it was pretty crazy, but I was mainly at practice most of the time when my dad was taking me. So yeah.
Okay, well, just in case your siblings watch this, can we call a couple of them out? Like, so you were the tormentor. Who's the leader?
I would say me. I would say
You
me.
okay?
Yeah.
All right. Who's the bully?
I would say me.
Okay. Who's the? I would think that this one
They would
is,
answer. I think they would answer the same thing. If not, I think my brother would be probably my brother as
Your
well
brother.
for the leader. Yeah.
Who's the most athletic?
I think I kind of have to say myself, but no, like honestly, everybody is crazy athletic. Like my parents were
Yeah.
like absolute freaks in athletics, so
The apple doesn't fall far from the tree, I guess. Huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say, man. Yeah, I mean, speaking to a professional player here at the Colorado Rapids, I'd say that's the case. No, so
yeah.
Ted, last one I had for you here, just a fun one. Now that you've had time to kind of be settled here at the Rapids and in Colorado, really get to know the guys and build those relationships with them. Who is the funnest? Who is the funniest guy in the locker room, and why is it you?
No, I wouldn't say it's me. Dude, Ollie has to be up there. Ollie's so funny. Yappy's so funny. And especially when Yappy and Jackson go at each other, oh my God, I can't stop laughing.
Yes.
I'd probably say those 2. I would say those 2. Kevin gets an honorable mention. Wayne is definitely not the funniest. Like he's definitely the least funny. So yeah.
Oh man. Well, listen, Ted. It's been nice to have you here on off the pitch on the podcast. To really, I mean, for viewers and listeners to really get to know you, man. Ever since you've moved here to Colorado, which as I think anybody can attest to, the moving process is so grueling. Let alone for someone like you when you're trying to settle in not just to a new space, but like settle into with new teammates, a new coaching staff, a new style of play, especially when DC is a very, very meaningful place to in your heart. So, so just an opportunity for folks to be able to get to know you just a little bit more, man, and obviously, of course, get to see you on the pitch, as they have been able to lately. So, Ted, thank you so much for taking the time, man, to be able to join us and get the viewers and listeners to be able to tune into you and see what you're about, man.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
So with that, Drew, we can. Well, I was gonna get straight into the preview. Let's go around MLS.
Let's do it.
Let's go around MLS before we
There's
we
some
jump
other things going
there.
on, aren't there?
Yes, there were other games, despite it being an international break. Obviously, we were one of those exceptions of a league game happening on the weekend, and there was a couple others as well. We'll start off with Portland versus St. Louis on Sunday Night Soccer. Portland, man, they found a way to win it. They got a 2-1 win against the St. Louis side that feels a little bit resurgent ever since they had unfortunately let go of Olaf Melberg. 2-1 win for Portland. Anthony gets the first goal. I mean, that felt like a very, very, very classic wingers South American goal. And then very late in the game that they get the game winner from David Ayala, and that puts Portland at the 4th place. Drew, Portland's doing the business.
They are. They're they're one of the more exciting teams to watch because of stuff like what Anthony did at the weekend. And I was at an R2 game on Sunday evening, so I didn't get to see any of these matches on Sunday, but I saw the highlights. And Anthony's goal that's goal of the year caliber type stuff. And just again, like when you have players that can just kind of fire at the hip like that, and there's no like tactics that stops something like that, right? It's just it's individual play, and he's a master of attacking, on the wing individually and creating opportunities like that. And I mean, it was just a chef's kiss goal, man.
Yeah, it was, man. Like, there's no two ways about it in terms of how you can talk about that goal. And I think that, to me, just because of how that game played out, Portland, I think, have shown that they're just a good team, man.
They are, man.
Like, Anthony was kind of really nowhere to be found the first half, and then he pulls off a goal like that, and they go on to win the game from there.
Yeah.
For me, that speaks to, I think, a good team that can find a way to win, even if things aren't going well for large stretches of the game.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team, man.
Yep.
Portland's a good team.
Speaking of good teams.
Yeah, and then staying in Cascadia, actually. So a Cascadia matchup between the Vancouver Whitecaps and Seattle Sounders. One team showed up. Vancouver Whitecaps with the 3-0
Well, like
win.
half of their team showed up.
Well,
they still...
Man, there's layers of this in terms of who actually showed up to this match. So reason that we say that way is because Vancouver, obviously, they're still dealing with the effects of, like, players having gastrointestinal problems, is the way the Whitecaps put it.
We all know what that means.
Yeah, we all know what that means. It's coming off the final against Cruz Azul in Mexico. So they still had quite a few players dealing with that. Others on a long list of players on international duty. So, Drew, they were missing a lot of players, the Whitecaps. They had to sign quite a few players up to short-term agreements. They still get the result, man. Like, Seattle get 2 red cards. That does help a little bit in terms of doing that, but you have to put them in a position to be able to do that to begin with. So for me, dude, Vancouver is being Vancouver right now.
We've talked about them enough on this podcast, like, and they just continue to, and even though we kind of slammed them a little bit for their performance in the CONCACAF Champions Cup final against Cruz Azul last week, it was with a very big asterisk that they're probably the best team in the like. I don't think they're the best team in the league right now, right? And to sustain what they did in CCC and what they continue to do in league play, to now be down to however many players they had to call up for this match. Seattle had a strong lineup out there, although 2 guys decided not to finish the game there, which will always make it a little bit easier for Vancouver because they're a team that will punish opponents when they have those kind of opportunities. But continue to give props to Vancouver because they deserve them.
Yeah, and Jesper Sorensen, man. Again, I think because of we saw, fortunately, I hate to use him as a reference point. Olaf Melberg, his first season in MLS, he saw how grueling it can be if you're not able to adjust, adapt, do what you need to do to kind of like get results in this league. And then you look at kind of contrast that with Jesper Sorensen, who's also new in the league, his first season in the league with Vancouver Whitecaps. And like you mentioned, the fact that the Whitecaps were able to keep up their form in MLS and CCC at the same time to at least get them to the final is incredibly impressive. Whether it's an experienced coach who's been in MLS for a long time doing that, I think especially so for someone like him who had just joined the club in the offseason, and to be able to pull that off with this Whitecaps team is incredible. There's nothing short of incredible. And then lastly, Drew, while it's not MLS, but it pertains to MLS with considering the MLS contingent with U.S. men's national team. So the U.S. men's national team, they were playing in a friendly against Turkey, 2-1 Turkey win in Connecticut. Jack McGlynn got a goal in the first minute, a wonderful goal, to be fair.
Yeah, it was.
But then, of course, Turkey came back and took advantage of some opportunities, and that was the difference on the night. So what did you make of that of that match, Drew?
I kind of had it on as background noise while I was doing some stuff on Saturday, but I know that the U.S. men's national team is always so, the people that analyze it, they're very level-headed and can control their emotions so well. I thought it was a fine performance. Like, Turkey is a really, really good national team with really, really good players that play all throughout Europe, and it was 2 mistakes that led to Turkey's goal, and that's what happens when you play against good teams. But start to finish, I didn't think it was a poor performance from the U.S. I thought Jack McGlynn, what a finish, and he didn't have a great performance other than that. He tried a couple other shots from distance with his left foot, and after what he did in the first minute, I can understand that. But I thought De La Torre looked good. I thought Diego Luna continues to look pretty good. Tyler Adams came on and made a difference. We're also missing some of our best players, from that squad, but against a really, really good European side, I don't know. I don't think the world's ending. Let's judge them after the result of the Gold Cup more so than a friendly and the build up to it.
Yeah. U.S. men's national team lost. I can promise everybody there is a tomorrow.
Yeah, the sun came up today.
Yeah, I promise there is a tomorrow. But yeah, I fully agree, Drew. I despite the loss, that it felt you could take some encouragement from the performance for the U.S. men's national team. I think fixable mistakes, which is I think the very positive thing, as opposed to some things we've seen in the past few years in terms of performances overall. So yeah, the world ain't ending.
No,
it ain't ending.
It's not. Let's see how they do in the Gold Cup.
Yep. We shall wait and see, which we said they start on Sunday against our Wayne Frederick and his Trinidad and Tobago on Sunday, June 15th. So you'll make sure you tune into that. All right, Drew. Now we can do some pit stock. Let's do it. So let's go into our preview for the Colorado Rapids versus Orlando City SC. That's going to be happening here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So like I always say, just come to the stadium, guys. Like I'm going to tell you, it's on MLS Season Pass on Apple TV. If you live in Colorado, just get out to the stadium, man. Always fun to be here. Saturday, June 14th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time for that match here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Make sure you get your tickets, like I said, if you're able to come to the game. And of note, summer kickoff. Officially summer kickoff for us, which means fireworks. Post-game
Everybody
fireworks.
loves fireworks.
Dude, who doesn't, man? It's a cool experience that you get to. I think that we're going to have folks on the pitch to be able to soak in the fireworks if they would like. They have that option, which is really cool, that you can say, I stepped at the pitch on Dick's Sporting Goods Park and watch the fireworks.
Yep.
I know I've heard people talk about them sometimes, when I'm in the gym or going grocery shopping. By happenstance, I've heard that. I'm like, it's a cool experience.
It is a really cool experience.
So
I've stepped on that pitch many times, and I love going down on that pitch for fireworks
because
it's a special occasion. It really is.
Coming from someone who's done it 1,000 times at this pitch. So cool experience. So make sure you guys stay after the match against Orlando City to be able to see some fireworks here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. Now, in terms of Orlando City and their form, Drew, so the last 3 matches that they've gotten a 1-0 win versus Portland, 3-2 loss at Atlanta, and then a 3-1 loss versus Chicago. So form is a little bit up and down, their form in terms of their last 3 matches. Looking at the records between both teams, Drew, so Colorado is 6-7-4, Orlando is 7-4-6 points. Colorado have 22, Orlando have 27. In terms of goals, Colorado have scored 18 so far in the season, Orlando 31. Goals against, Colorado have conceded 24, Orlando have conceded 22. And average possession on the season so far, Colorado at 44.7%, and Orlando City at 46.5%. So a little bit of a primer there in terms of what to expect a little bit in the statistical sense with Orlando. A little compare and contrast with the Rapids. Managed by Oscar Pareja for a number of years now at this point, and have found success under him, this Orlando side, when they struggled to do so ever since joining the league in 2015. You've played with Oscar Pareja. You do know him pretty well, Drew. So, and what does an Oscar Pareja Orlando City side look like? What is their style of play? What can you expect from an Oscar Pareja side?
I'm going to expect a bit of bite from this Orlando side, because Oscar's coming back to a place where he managed for several seasons, right? And had some success, brought in some young players that did extremely well, but they always have exciting attacking players, right? And this side is no different. You look at Ojeda and Pasalic and Muriel, Atuesta, that's just to name a couple, right? But I do think they've really they're a streaky team still, right? They go on a 12-game unbeaten streak, and now they've lost 3 of their last 4 all competitions, and it's like they either get shutouts or they concede three goals, And so they're a little bit up and down, but I do know that Oscar is going to have them locked in, ready to go with a bit of bite and a bit of energy, ready to physically try to dominate this game, and then let the playmakers kind of take over from there.
You had mentioned some of the key contributors that they do have. A couple that I had listed here was Pedro Gallese, the Peruvian national team goalkeeper. His 6th season, dude. He's been here a while now, which is crazy to think now in the league with Orlando in particular. 7 clean sheets so far on the season, which is, I think, speaks to him, but I think overall the team in terms of how they're set up. And you mentioned Martin Ojeda, 8 goals, 5 assists, man. He's on one right now. He's definitely on one. And you had also mentioned Marco Pasalic. This is actually a guy that I wanted to kind of make note of in terms of who the Rapids will need to keep an eye out on. So Marco Pasalic, man, ever since he's joined the league this season in 2025 for Orlando, he's been lights out. He's just throws opposing defenses off balance. He can take guys one-on-one, and whether he does that to either create opportunities for himself or others, that's where he creates all sorts of danger, all sorts of problems for the opposing team. And his statistics speak to that.
Yeah.
And even with Martin Ojeda, like I mentioned, Marco Pasalic has 6 goals, 3 assists on the season so far. So individually, he can create moments, and whether it's for himself, for him to score, or if he's able to provide opportunities for others and set them up for success to be able to score a goal. Marco Pasalic, man, he's been on one ever since he's joined the league. I think he scored 2 in his first game, with Orlando. He's going to be very dangerous, a player that the Rapids do need to keep an eye on because of how good he is at just throwing off defenses, keeping them kind of on their heels, and finding opportunities and creating opportunities for others as well.
For sure, he lives in those kind of half spaces off that right wing side, and he's really nice left foot. He reminds me a lot of Facundo Torres, who he has kind of filled the shoes of, and he's filled the shoes of them admirably. And he's definitely somebody that the Rapids are going to have to lock down as much as they possibly can if they want to keep Orlando at bay on the attack.
That's who we're keeping tabs on the Orlando side. But Drew, who did you want to keep tabs on the Rapid side going into this match against Orlando City?
I'm going to highlight Hoffa. It was good to see him back in the starting 11 against Austin. Attacking players, number 9s forwards are form kind of guys, and sometimes when you miss some time, it's hard to find that form right away when you step back on the field. But because of the opportunities, the positions that the Rapids were able to get into against Austin, they managed to do that. We're able to create chances. The expected goals was at a really good number against Austin, but we weren't able to put the ball in the back of the net. And Hoffa is obviously our number 9 that we rely on scoring goals. And so I anticipate him stepping up and shouldering a bit of the load, putting the work in that he always does defensively, right? Being the ball thief, coming back into games, making it difficult for Orlando to build and to get comfortable. But to get on the end of crosses and these passes from Georgi Mihailovic and to put the ball in the back of the net, to get that killer instinct. He's the one that we expect to have the killer instinct to put the ball in the back of the net. And so in a big match against a team that we don't see very often, Hoffa Navajo is who I'm going to highlight as my key contributor.
Yeah, like you said, nice to see him back. And again, there is the bit of the nuance there that like it does take a second to kind of get back into the rhythm of things, considering he was out a little bit longer. I think that we would have hoped or expected for him to be out with the injury that he picked up a month or so ago. So nice to see him back. Nice to see him back starting. But also like on the flip side, to kind of credit Darren Yappy with the way he kind of stepped up in that position, in Hoffa's absence. So it's just nice to see that we have options there if it comes down to it. But as you mentioned, Hoffa is going to be very critical because of the tone that he sets for the rest of the group, particularly with the high press, his work rate, and just what he does on the ball when he is on the ball as well, right? So Hoffa is going to be super important. In terms of keys to the match, just in generally speaking, Drew, what are you looking for in this match between the Rapids and Orlando City?
I'm gonna kind of go more the intangible side of things. We can talk about X's and O's, but I think for me, and I referenced it earlier, coming off the Austin match, going into the Orlando match, just the energy that you put in and the mentality that you put in at the start of the match needs to be tone setting, right? Like we're not here to mess around tonight. We're going to turn you around. We're going to play direct. We're going to play with a lot of energy, right? We're not going to give you time on the ball, right? If we're counter pressing high, then we're going to counter press high. If we come back in the mid block, then we're going to come back in the mid block and we're going to play with energy there, right? And we're going to set that tone right away, because I think they took too long to get into the match against Austin, against good teams with good players. If you take too long to get into the match could be over by the time you do, and so the X's and O's will come, right? The ability of our attacking players, Georgi, Hoffa, Ted Ku-DiPietro, to work their magic will come, right? But go in with a bit of energy, with a bit of physicality, right? Set the tone in the middle of the field as well, because Orlando's got some bite in there, right? But have your mentality and be physically prepared and ready to get after it, and the X's and O's will take care of itself. Let's not overcomplicate things, overthink things. Go and set the tone with your energy, your heart, and get after them early.
I'm gonna follow up a little bit on that in terms of intangibles, right? In terms of X's and O's and all that, the coaches and the players, they will sort that out in this week leading up to that match.
Yeah, of course.
But in terms of intangibles that you were talking about, in terms of the mindset, have that killer instinct. We talked about how we felt that maybe that was missing a little bit, and that's not just on Hoffa. That's not just on one player or the other. I think that's collectively on the group in terms of when you find that opportunity to score a goal, take it and take advantage of it. Because if you do, that's what Austin did. when they scored that goal early, that set the tone a little bit for how the rest of the match, and at least that first half, was going to play out, right? The Rapids created a bunch of chances, and we know they can get into dangerous positions through Georgie, through Hoffa, through whoever is there creating opportunities and with the potential to finish them. But it's about finishing that opportunity, right? So for the Rapids, I think what's going to be key for them going into this very tough match against a good Orlando City side, when the moment presents itself to score, take advantage of it. You have to take advantage of it against a side that has quality going the other way as well, because if the Rapids don't take advantage of their opportunities, there's a decent chance Orlando's going to be willing to do that. So having that killer instinct, finishing your chances when those opportunities present themselves, I think is going to be the key for the Rapids to be able to walk away with 3 points on the night.
For sure, and we're not throwing X's and O's out the window, right? That will be taken care of in the week's preparation leading up to it. But and you referenced it a couple weeks ago, I think, before the RSL match, and one of Chris Little, assistant coaches, phrases is, earn the right to play.
Yes.
Right? Go and earn the right to play early in this game against Orlando, right? The preparation will be done. The video will be done. We will know what to expect from Orlando, who to keep an eye on, all the tactics and everything. But earn the right to play. You're here at home, right? You got fireworks after the match. There's going to be a lot of people here. They love that, right? I love that. Earn the right to play, set the tone early, and go after 3 points with everything you've got.
Yeah. It's an opportunity for the Rapids to correct the mistakes from the Austin FC match. Right. Turn things around, hopefully earn 3 points as part of this 3-game home stretch that the Rapids have here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, because we like to consider this place a fortress for the Rapids, right? It's tough to play here because you're not used to the altitude, and then on top of that, you have to deal with a very, very good side when you're dealing with the likes of Hoffa Navajo, Georgie Mihailovic. The list goes on, honestly, with the players that are here, right? So, but that's where it's then incumbent on the Rapids to, like we said, let those intangibles kick in, earn the right to play, have that killer instinct, and the Rapids will put themselves in pole position to walk away with all 3 points against, like I said, a very good Orlando side that has a list of very, very good players on their end as well. So this is a nice. If you're the neutral, I would say this is a very fun and interesting match to watch on Saturday night between good sides. And the Rapids looking, like I said, correct their mistakes. Orlando looking to kind of correct the ship a little bit as well. I think just a very fun match, particularly for the neutral, but I think just in general, right? Like for either set of fans to be able to tune in, watch. Like I said, be here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park if you're able to here in Colorado. You're always better off in having the match day experience. I was going to say, on Out of Bounds, I was waiting for you to munch on something and just stuff your mouth with something. I don't think that was the case this past Saturday against Austin.
No.
We'll see maybe if that happens against Orlando and I steal a bite because I might be hungry at the moment.
Please, you can come by any time. I'll give it all to you. We've got.
Drew's a gentleman.
We've started to bring napkins over because I get a little messy.
Yeah.
So
don't we all?
Yeah, I think so.
Especially, well, listen, the food here is good, right?
It is good, yeah.
You can take Drew's word for it, or you can just come to the stadium on Saturday night here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park.
Experience it for yourself.
Yes. So the match between the Rapids and Orlando City, you can catch the match and get good food here at Saturday, June 14th, 7:30 p.m. Mountain Time. Kickoff at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So make sure you get your tickets as soon as possible because also, like we said, fireworks after the match.
Fireworks.
The experience and the opportunity to go on the pitch to watch the fireworks from there after the match. So you don't want to miss it. Seriously,
No,
you do not want to miss it. Be it the match, be it the fireworks, be it the food, be it Drew stuffing his face with food. Can't miss it.
I'm fired up now. I wish it was Saturday already.
You and me both, dude.
Yeah.
You and me both, because I love match days here at Dick's Sporting Goods Park. So like I said, come on out here to Dick's Sporting Goods Park to cheer on your Burgundy boys here at the stadium, part of the live stadium experience, and just watching your Burgundy boys, man. It's fun. It really is fun to be out here. So I think that's a wrap, dude. That's all we got, right? Unless you had something else you wanted to chime in with.
No.
Words of wisdom.
No, it's
fun story.
You don't turn to me for words of wisdom. I'll tell you that
I beg to differ, especially from a Rapids and MLS legend. So I beg to differ. Well, most of the time at least. But I think
appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Dude, nothing but love, man. Nah, man. Come on, you're a legend. Seriously, let's be real here. So that's it, dude. That's it. So we'll put a cap on this episode of the Colorado Rapids podcast. My thanks to the production crew, Rich and Miles, my good friend and resident Rapids legend, Drew Moore. I've been your host, Mike Ravolo, and of course, big match on Saturday.
Yep.
Big match on Saturday. Like I said, part of this 3-game home stretch, and hopefully the Rapids can walk away with all 3 points. That'll do it for this edition of the podcast, and have a good week, everybody.